What are you really looking to accomplish with life?
I think career-wise, I was thinking about this the last few days, like what I really want to do because I tried different things. I definitely want to be in film and television. If I was to pick a pie in the sky idea, it would be me at home writing screenplays, whether that be for film, episodic, or whatever, video games. And my scripts are so great and I've got so much influence in Hollywood that if I want to produce it and I want to have approval over the cast and or the crew, I can do that. If I just want to sell it, I can do that too. That would be like the pie in the sky, situation. Sort of like a Ron Bass situation or Eric Roth, where they've reached a certain level that presumably, if they wanted to do some of those things, they probably could. That would be perfect. I've
Wow.
been on the set since I was 14 years old, in front or behind the camera, and I know that I've been on the set so much that it's not the thing I enjoy the most. What I really enjoy is being able to the creative process. I love the collaborative process. I love being at home or working in an environment behind the scenes more than anything that that I could do. So it's definitely something I want to do.
What's the blockage, or do you feel that there is a path laid before you that's fairly easy to navigate at this point?
I think if I think of a blockage, my blockage has been I've had so many great ideas that
Mm.
I don't know. I I went through choosing things I think that would sell versus something I'm really passionate about, which may not be as commercial. And something I'm really passionate about, maybe a small story or maybe a big story, but I don't know if that's going to sell. And I don't want to waste my time working on something that is not going to ever get me where I want to go. So that's
Sure.
been my greatest challenge.
Um, okay, that's an interesting challenge because it's almost like a positive challenge.
Right.
Your mind is rich. You have a vivid imagination. There are so many paths, so many things that can and need to be said that it's hard to choose. Is that right?
That's
Am I
correct.
kind getting there?
And what
Um,
happens is that in the past, what I've done is like I'll start on something and I'm passionate about it or not passionate about it, and I'll stop. Like, wait a minute, I should be working on something else that will have an easier path to getting where I want. And then I start on that, and I find that if I focus only on one area and I finish it, great things happen out of it. But that's ironic then that I will kind of shift into different projects, not knowing which one is going to get me where I want it to go. So,
I take a little notes, so if you hear tapping, that's me
sure,
taking notes.
sure.
Um, I love this. This is great because I have the answer, and here's why I have the answer. We deal in universes, right?
Hmm.
And when we are uh, given an assignment, we have to help our client right away, and we have to know what to focus on and what to understand, and what points need to be made really, really quickly. When ordinarily you would look at this giant story world and think that there are a million choices and a million directions that you can go and a million stories that can be told in this setting. So, what is it that needs to happen? We have to focus. We have to narrow down to the most important, the most salient points. And you're absolutely right. It's not necessarily what we think is going to be the aspect that's going to make us the most money. You don't necessarily want Spider-Man to fight his greatest enemy in the first movie because his greatest enemy may not comment necessarily on certain aspects of the character that we need to know and understand in order to make it important and to make it emotional, to make a connection with that character. So then, how do you do this? Um, and maybe that can be, if you like, that can be the focus of what we're aiming for right now. Does that sound
Sure.
good?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So uh, I'm going to ask a series of questions. And again, I'm going to want you to be fairly honest with me. So if there is stuff that you can't be because you're on video, put it on pause.
Okay. Or I'll cut that
All
part
right.
out.
Yeah, okay, that's
Okay.
fine. um, uh, the the focal point of your work
Mhm.
will always resonate with you, will always feel as if it's right and if it's powerful, if it resonates with your fundamental identity, with who you are as a person, and what you aspire to be, and what it is that you have to offer the world. Far too often, we come across creators who, watch a documentary on Netflix or on cable and go, "Wow, that's a kind of cool concept. I'm going to give my spin on that concept." And then what we get is a Xerox of a copy of a copy,
Mhm.
you know.
Right.
And there's some personal style in that, and that's cool, and what we can get out of that is something that can be entertaining, but it's not necessarily going to deeply resonate with us. It's not necessarily going to be a window into your soul as a creator, and a gift that you are giving to me. If you think about the greatest works that you have encountered, novels, television, movies, it's because it woke something up in you. It's because it touched something in you that you'll never forget. So that's what we need to find here, because if and when we do find it, that helps to narrow everything down. It helps for you to focus on what's important, and choose the stories that are best for you to tell. There's a way to do that. Um, when when we are conceived, Jeff, let's start there. Um, where uh, we have all the creature comforts we could possibly need, right? We're inside some snuggle, tight place. We're being rocked during the day. We get to exercise at night. We hear this wonderful pulsing sound above us. And then there's the voice of the goddess, right? Higher above us. And we receive our nutrients, and life is good. When we're born, we have sometimes a few months, maybe a few years, where everything is kind of delightful. All our needs are met. Does that make sense?
Right.
If we're at all uncomfortable, we complain, hopefully for just a short amount of time, and something is stuck in our mouths, or we're rocked, or our diapers are changed, and everything's wonderful. At a certain point, Jeff, and this happened to you, we learn that life is not going to be that way forever,
Right.
and this is what we call a primal challenge. For some, it is a primal failure. It is the moment in time, and I want you to think of this. Usually, you're between 3 and 5 years old, that something happens to you to make you snap out of this bliss, to
Right.
make you realize that you are not the bright center of the universe,
Mhm.
that you are actually don't really amount to all that much. There is a wide and vast and sometimes dark world. Um, so, what happens? What happened to you to make you snap out of that situation and start to and realize, ow, I'm not the center. You know, you could tell because you'll find that memory. It
Hmm.
could be that you were humiliated. It could be that you encountered something scary and horrible that made you very afraid.
Hmm.
It could be the birth of a sibling. Hey, wait a minute. All the love is going there.
Right,
What happened?
right.
Tell me what happened to you.
Well, I think a couple of things. One, my parents divorced when I was about 3 years old. So
Wow.
yeah, so my dad lived in an apartment and my mom lived and we lived the house together. Also, I remember my dad. They were kind of young in their early 20s. My dad uh, found playing basketball with his friends was more important than taking care of his kids. So he would literally. My mom told me about this. So he would lock me in the bedroom so he could go off and play basketball with his friends, and then come afterward. I remember one. I do.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember one time actually being locked. I was in the car, and he would lock me in. He locked me in the car while he was playing basketball with his friends. I remember that. So that was those are a few.
wow.
Yeah, those are a
So
few
wait a
things.
minute, wait a minute. Okay, slow down.
Mhm.
Goodness gracious. Is there a key, like first time that this happened for you? Were you in the bedroom or in the car? What really, rings for you?
Well, the time I remember myself is definitely when I was in the car.
Okay.
Watching him play basketball with his friends, and I'm in the car, probably not wanting to be in the car alone. That's the
All right. Well,
time.
hold on. Take me there. Take me there. Let's experience this just for a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm sorry if it's hurtful, but I need to understand. So you're going somewhere with him, right? And
Well,
you're about how old?
well, I'm three, and we're actually parked. If you can imagine, like a basketball court, like an outside basketball court. I think there was like a fence that goes.
Near the house. I mean,
Uh,
he just took you out of the house and stuck you in the car.
yeah, I don't know if it was in near the house, but it was definitely a basketball court, and we're parked outside of this basketball court, and I can
What
see him
did you
playing.
think was going to happen? Can you remember what did you think? Where did you think you were going, or what did you think was going to occur?
I only remember just being us actually parked. I don't remember us going there or not. Um, but I'm just imagining. I'm wondering like why I can't play with Daddy or why I can't be
All right,
around
but
Daddy.
hold on. Slow down. So,
Mhm.
see, here's what I want to do. I want to deconstruct it a little bit
Okay.
because we mythologize
Hmm.
our memories,
Hmm.
and then we kind of play that tape, which
Right.
is it's kind of a cool, sad story. But I want to gain insight into the mind of that child.
Hmm.
Okay. And so little Jeff is in that car,
Hmm.
or being taken into the car. Did Dad get in with you, or
No.
no? So
No.
you're put in the car with the expectation, I take it, that we're going somewhere.
No. I don't. I think we drove. We've driven to this court,
Ah, see,
and
more
we're
detail.
parked there. I don't remember what happened before or after, but my vivid memory
Sure.
is just being in the car. We're parked. Dad's already playing basketball with his friends, and I'm in
Okay.
the car, and I'm assuming I'm locked in the car because I can't get out.
Sure.
Watching him through the.
Watching him.
Mhm.
So he's getting out of the car. What do you imagine the boy's expectation is? That are you thinking you might go with him?
Um, I think I'm thinking, why is he taking so long?
Okay, so he left, and your expectation was he'd be right back.
Yeah, or why can't I get to my dad? Because
Why
I'm
can't I
separated.
get to him?
Yeah, I'm separated
Right,
by the glass
right.
across the windshield.
Okay. So
Mhm.
then you see he's kind of having fun, right? He's
Oh
playing
yeah,
ball.
yeah. Yeah.
what's your thought about that? Do you want to be with him? Do you want to join him? What's happening?
Yeah, definitely wanting to be with him. Definitely want to be with Daddy. That sort of thing.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
Sorry about this. And you're sitting in that car, okay, and this is quite striking. It's a moment that's so striking that you're able to relate it to me all these years later.
Hmm.
Why? Why is that striking to you? What were you feeling that made you remember it, that particular moment?
What was I feeling in that moment, or what was I feeling now?
Give me a little of both.
Uh,
First, then.
Definitely, I would say probably abandoned in some way. Um, like I wasn't important enough to play with, that sort of thing. Like that
Wow.
those friends or whatever he was playing were more important. That he would leave me in the car alone. That sort of thing. Yeah, and
I'm
that
not important enough.
right.
I'm not important.
Hmm. Yeah, not important enough to
Wow.
play with. you know.
With dad, with the I'm stuck in this car.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a strong feeling to not be important enough. What let me ask you something, and this might require a tiny bit of conjecture,
Okay.
but if you were sitting there thinking that thought, and I understand that a child might not think as coherently as I'm not important enough, but we understand what Jeff was feeling. What is the promise that you're making to yourself in response to I'm not important enough? What's the statement that comes out of that for you?
I think something like I better make myself important enough that he wants to pay attention to me. That he chooses me instead of his friends. Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
If I if I do something important, if I am important enough, he will love me. He will validate me. He will take me onto the court.
Right.
Um, wow, 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 wow. Okay, so this is an exercise, and no one is saying that this is the divine truth of the universe for you, and so forth. But humor me just a little bit longer.
Right.
Um, uh, Life continues, right? Um, it is that feeling, that deep feeling, when you think about your childhood, your adolescence, does that resonate? That feeling that you need to become important, that you need
Oh
to be.
yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Wow.
It's it's definitely affected my relationships. It's definitely affected my friendships, my other family relationships. It's affected my career path probably. Um, yeah, it definitely has affected me.
Wow.
Hmm.
So let's talk about the good that it's done, because frankly, you have some success here, as you described at the beginning of our conversation.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
you, you are kind of important.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
um, so do you see that's done well for you, living up to that promise?
Yeah, I think so. I still hasn't been enough to make him stop what he's doing, and but I've learned as an adult that he does it to all of his kids,
Yes.
and that's just the way he is. It has nothing to do with me. But yeah, the feeling is still there. The feeling of, I better be important enough so that people will pay attention to me. That I'm important enough that they'll stop what they're doing for a second and acknowledge me important enough to they'll do something as simple as even returning a phone call or an email. That um, definitely still resonates with me.
So Jeff, I'm going to ask for another touch of honesty.
Sure.
Um, is it possible that that vow, that need, has also been a little rough on you? Um, what's that? The need for it in relationships,
Hmm.
the need for that level of validation, has that worked out all the time for you?
It definitely has been a recurring theme in many people that I've dated where I feel like I give my all to them and it's not enough because they're so distracted by whatever it is that they're passionate about that they don't make me a priority. That has definitely been a recurring theme in many relationships I've had.
Wow, that must be exhausting.
Yeah, it is exhausting, and it is exhausting. Definitely
It
because
it's
yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we get to a level of importance. Any love that is given and received between two people is important.
Mhm.
Any accomplishment in school or in your career is important, but is it important enough? Are you getting what it is that you really want here, or is there, simply another rung on the ladder that you immediately are looking at in
Right,
order to get onto that basketball court?
right. Yeah,
Does
this
that
isn't. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely. I found myself like giving. I give my all anyway in a relationship, friendship, or romantic life. I give everything, and I do. I would love to get that in return, but I've come to a point as I got older that I don't expect it at all. In fact, I expect the opposite. I'm probably never going to get back anything anywhere close to what I put into a relationship. So I just completely just and then on a rare occasion when I do get it back, it's just a huge surprise. But I've gotten to the point where I don't even. I'm like, I'm gonna give. I'm not gonna stop being who I am because I like to give and I like to be generous and I like to be kind and treat people the way I like to be treated. But I've kind of given up on ever
wow,
getting that kind of thing
wow,
back
wow,
because
wow.
I just it's in
So,
my history of
right. So then something's missing, right? You're in a way, it's almost as if you're settling.
yeah, in some ways, yeah. I think in some ways, not in all relationships. There have
Sure.
been a handful that do give as much as I give, but I do. I found that it does come back, but it may not come back from the same person. It may come back in another way.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think in many relationships, I mean, take for example Christmas or birthdays. Well, not so much birthdays recently. That's been good, but Christmas, for example, I'm kind of giving a lot to some special people in my life. But I know I'll never get a gift. Like some of the people I don't even remember a time I've ever gotten a gift from them ever in my life. But
Sure.
I would not only feel guilty, but I'd feel not being myself if I don't give them something to treat them the way that
Right.
I wish that I got treated.
But if that's the case,
Hmm.
um, there's almost like a small glory in that, an aspect of the mythology of Jeff Rivera is
Hmm.
that he will do without this expectation. Um, and the root of that is, correct me if I'm wrong, the root of that is that you've kind of given up on on that aspect.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I went from being very angry that man, the more I give, they don't even think about giving back to kind of like you said, settling or just being okay with it. Like, it's really never going to happen from them. It's happened
It's
from other
called
people.
it's
Mhm.
called resignation.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, resignation. Yeah,
Okay, so Jeff, First of all, I'm sorry that's the case, because it feels like a cycle. It feels like something is you're moving forward in life. There's no question about that, and you're a successful person. That's pretty clear. But you know, there's this odd little loop that's moving forward through space and time, and it's not just with your relationships. You're relating career kinds of issues, and not quite reaching the level of vitality of import that you'd like. If you were there, you would be producing TV shows and movies by now, and so forth.
Yeah.
Um, so let me first of all show you the beauty in this. It's beautiful because guess what? That little kid in that car made a decision that was beyond his years. You know, instead of just throwing a tantrum or ignoring it and just staring into space, you were already thinking and coming up with a solution. You know, and that was at the time that solution galvanized that child. It put on a kind of suit of armor, right?
Right.
It said, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to aspire to be important. You know, I'm going to earn this guy's respect. I'm going to earn my way onto the court. Um, and that's pretty sophisticated
Yeah.
for a little kid. Not
Right.
bad. The issue though is that child was writing essentially a screenplay. That child was creating something that we call the experiential manifold. The experiential manifold is the story that follows you and guides you for the rest of your life. And the trick with the experiential manifold is that we need to be right. We need to be right. Why? All human beings need to be right because it is hardwired into our minds that if we leave the cave, if we're not right, we can be killed, right? The world is a dangerous place. Physically dangerous back in the caveman times, emotionally dangerous in modern times, maybe sometimes physically dangerous too. So we need to be right. So that little boy, he needed to be right. And how do we demonstrate that we're right? We look for evidence, and that's what you've been doing all your life. You've described it to me just now. Well, I assess these relationships, and sometimes I get what I want. I'm validated. They appreciate me, and that's wonderful. I love that, and good things happen out of that. But fairly quickly, sometimes I see that that's not going to happen. So I have to pull out this alternate way of being, this almost like this sacrificial thing. I'm resigned. It's going to happen, but I am going to be magnanimous about it, and I'm going to give anyway. And it kind of tumbles over on itself in a loop. Now, I know that I'm simplifying it. Life is more complex than what I'm describing, but I am trained to look at narrative patterns. And I'll bet you that you have been trying to confirm the thesis point of that tiny little boy over and over and over again. um, and the boy keeps being right. The boy keeps being right. Here's the rub, Jeff, and if I'm not on point, throw me out of my chair.
Okay. Right.
It doesn't have to be that way. You are wearing that child's armor today. It's tight. You're an adult. You're an adult. So you're following the instructions of a very young boy. He was smart and he did the right thing. Bless his heart. Is it still the same thing that we need to be listening to now? Do we need to follow his orders?
No, of course not.
Honestly, honestly, no, we don't. And so if we don't, and if you're honest about that, that that we've been calling the experiential that runs from that moment into you today, and without this conversation, we'll just keep going
Mhm.
to however long, right? But right now, we can say, you know what? I'm gonna take this armor off. I'm gonna just try a little experiment and give myself some peace and set all of that aside. Okay? What's possible? What's possible? Or is it too scary to even think about?
What's possible if I take off the armor and stop worrying about being important enough to be
Yeah,
paid attention to?
yeah.
Well, I think I would just do it for myself. I would just do the love of the craft, the love of the story, just because it's what I have to say or that sort of thing, without regard to what the end result will be or whether people will like it or that sort of thing.
You know what you're telling me?
What's that?
Anything is possible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything, anything. Look, that's useful what that kid was doing and so forth. We do need to occasionally say, you know what? I need to be validated. I am important, you know, and you can pull that out. It doesn't mean it goes away completely, but we could also do things just for the love of the craft. We could also do things and not worry about what people think and not worry about our status and our level of importance or non-importance and so forth.
Mhm.
It can be anything, anything. The world opens up to you, any possibility. Um, the negativity that you've encountered in life is the negativity that shapes the loop. Um, I need to be validated. If I'm not validated, I'm going to try to be magnanimous
Mhm.
and give anyway. But that mythology forces me on to desire validation,
Mhm.
and so forth. So it's like tumbling through space forward when you step out of that cycle. It's like suddenly you have a jetpack and you can steer it any way you want, any way you want. Do you see that? Does that make
Yeah.
some kind of sense?
Yeah. Definitely.
So, so we started this conversation about the fact that we need to narrow down the creative possibilities,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Um, what I want you to think about is um, that right now you have this statement. If I earn the respect and sense of importance by those in authority, I will get to play on the court.
Right.
I can leave my current status and be elevated into a greater status.
Out of the car.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really remarkable. You have to appreciate that. I
Yeah.
hope you do. And it's created this kind of elegant system by which you've run all these years, all these years. What can be an alternate to that statement? What is a different statement that comments on that statement, but tweaks it in a way that would be fully empowering to you? We don't have to answer that question completely right now, but I want you to think about it. You
Okay.
know, here's some hints.
Okay. Sure.
um, um, to earn importance implies that you're not right.
Right.
So we know you are. We need somebody else's validation to understand that. Right? I mean, come on. In your heart of hearts, not bad. You haven't done bad in life.
Right. Yeah.
You're doing important things. So we know you're important. So if you take for granted that in part one of that statement that you are starting from a space of validity and importance, that you are an important participant in this world, what is it that you need to do to make sure that we all understand this about everyone? Everyone. We have to forgive Dad.
Right.
Dad didn't know what he was doing. Dad
Right.
was pretty young too,
Right.
and he probably had his own fucking car that he was stuck in.
Yeah.
You know, we love Dad.
Right.
If we didn't love him, this wouldn't matter as much.
Right. Right.
So Dad needs to be included in the statement. We are all important. But how do we realize that? How do we come to understand our sense of validity, and how is this universal understanding going to make the world a better place? Okay, so part one of that sentence is about you, but part two of that sentence is about everyone else.
Right.
You know, so I need you to think about that, because the answer to the original question that you asked was, how do I pick? How do I pick? And the answer is, this statement is going to help you choose everything.
Okay.
Everything.
Can you give me an example? Like.
Sure. Let's fall back on my experience. With story and popular culture, and look at. Are you familiar with Halo?
Vaguely, I know the video game world. Yeah.
That's it. The video game world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Master Chief is the hero of Halo.
Okay.
Right. And Microsoft came to me with Master Chief and the universe of Halo, and they said, you know, we have a problem. Our character is important. Our world is important. That's been demonstrated by the fact that we've made $1 billion on Halo. But Master Chief is not Harry Potter. Master Chief is not Luke Skywalker, and we don't understand why. He should be. Why isn't he translating well to other media? Why isn't he more effective? We need to make TV series and movies out of Master Chief, but for some reason he's been limited. And there are a million different possibilities. We understand that about this universe, but we don't know what to pick. We don't know which direction to go. Does that sound familiar, Jeff Rivera?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
We did this with Master Chief. And you know what we found? Um, uh, his statement was the statement of his daddy. His daddy was Bungie, the people who created him. And their statement was, war is eternal.
Mm-hmm.
War is eternal. And therefore, we need a man who is war incarnate in order to win the war. And that's Master Chief. War incarnate. He doesn't even have a face, right? He's just this kind of robotic being who is undefeatable, who is assisted by this kind of Jiminy Cricket little girl character, and he charges forward and he wins. If you're a good player. And I'm like, wow, war is eternal. How is that working for you? Well, we're going into an era where anything is possible, where we would like for this character to incarnate himself on multiple platforms. But he has this kind of stuck in the car situation. War is eternal. That's a loop that we had to break him out of. So if war is eternal and I must be the incarnation of war in order to win war, if that's the statement, similar to the statement we had with you, what is the inverse of that? What is a way to free ourselves from the experiential manifold of war is eternal? We came up with something that terrified Microsoft. The greatest warrior is the warrior who ends war.
Okay.
Greatest warrior is the warrior who ends war. And they were like, whoa, stop right there. Why were they so upset? I bet you can guess.
Well, if you stop war, then you stop the video game world because it's all about war. Yeah.
They're like, wait a minute. We're not going to make any money if Master Chief achieves that goal.
Right.
And we said, he doesn't have to do it now. In fact, the epic story of Master Chief is only really interesting to tell. Steven Spielberg is only going to really love. He's not going to respond to the greatest war. War is eternal. Steven Spielberg don't like that, right?
Right.
But the notion of something built for war that ultimately has to evolve, become enlightened, become actualized to the point where he becomes capable of ending the war, not with a bomb, but with the force of his self, his personality, his being. That's an interesting story.
Right. Yeah.
That's the story that hooked Steven Spielberg, and they're making a TV series out of Halo. Right? The greatest warrior is the warrior who ends war. Right? We start the first half with who Master Chief is. He is the greatest warrior. But then we put that twist. War is not eternal. War needs to end. And we're going to tell you the story of how that's going to happen. And that story is a gift to the world, because we need to learn how to end war. We need to understand the factors that go into stopping this ongoing violence. And that makes this story worth telling to me. And that makes You know what that happened? What that did? First of all, it made the video games better automatically, because the shift has to be that we have to find the humanity in this character, right? Not
Hmm.
just a blank face. We have to know who he is and where he's from and all that sort of thing if he's going to go somewhere. And it becomes a compelling story, because now who's going to do that? Who's going to humanize him? That little girl, that Cortana character, is going to start talking to him, and more about more than how to shoot the alien in front of him. They're going to develop a relationship, maybe even love. You
Right.
know, now we have a story. Now something's happening. Now that's worth telling in a novel, in a video game, and in a TV series. Do you
Hmm.
see?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, the same holds. It seems to me, for you. Um, if I have to be important enough to play on the court, we are only ever going to cycle onto the next court, the
Hmm.
next relationship, the next job, and so forth. Look, you could be okay. It's a living.
Right.
You
Yeah.
could even be happy, but you're not necessarily going to get this deep sense of joy and fulfillment from that endless cycle. It's going
Right.
to make you tired. You're going to need a vacation.
Right.
It's who needs it, you know. So the twist that you have to do, is to go back and examine the if, you know, and we know it's not about gaining importance and validation, because you have that. It's
Right.
already there.
Hmm.
Um, uh, but maybe it has to be found a little bit more. Maybe that's the exploration. That's the story that
Right.
needs to happen there. And then, um, there's part two of that sentence, which is to make everyone understand that we're important, and finding that importance will actualize us without the need for dad, without the need for some exterior force
Right.
to do that. That makes the world a better place. If Donald
So.
Trump didn't need to prove himself to his father every single day, he might not be the prick that he is. Just saying. Just saying.
So if this was a story, like if this was a, let's say this was a movie of the week, in my life, you know, I start out feeling like I need to feel important. A catalyst happens to make me realize that I already am. That my mission is to actually realize that I am important already, and the journey to get there along the way is to help everyone else realize that they're important, also equally important, and that they don't need to get the validation um, or do whatever it is in order to feel important with that they already are. That there's no, they don't need to really strive for it. All they do is just realize it.
That's right.
Something like
And 100%. And now that it seems to me that does require a careful definition of important.
that. Right. Yeah.
uh, you know, and so I think that if you dive underneath everything, there are some fundamentals to you that truly define importance. You said it to me at the beginning of your story. You know, if he loved me, I wouldn't be stuck in this car.
Right. Hmm.
You know, if he loved me, I'd be playing with him. I'd be in receipt of his love directly, and so forth. So I know it sounds a little corny,
No, but it's
but
true.
love is
Yeah.
important.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing that you keep talking about is creation, and the ability to create relationships, to create art, to create stories. Um, that ability is also signifies to me something important. And both things don't require validation from outside. You know, both things are generated from within you. We know you have these capabilities. You're not a psychopath.
Right. Right. I could definitely
Uh,
see that kind of need for validation in a lot of things. For example, where there's book sales. Okay, well, I put a story out that I'm really passionate about, but it's not reflected in sales, which means they don't like me, they don't love me, they don't get me, they don't understand me. I could see that maybe even something in a Facebook post or Instagram post, and I post something and wow, I got a lot of. That means they must love me, they understand me, they get me. If they don't, oh my God, they don't like my puppy video. They don't understand that, or whatever it is. I can see definitely the sort of during definitely relationships. If they love me enough, then they'd spend more time with me. They'd be more present. They wouldn't be. They might want to be on other things. They'd
sure.
be in this moment. I definitely see that sort of loop. I need to get to the point where I. It's not my expression is not about let me do something that everyone else will like and validate and understand what I have to say. That this is who I am. This is what I have to say. You like it. You like it. You don't. You don't. And it has nothing to do with. I'm going to say it anyway. Basically, you know, whether you like this, what my story, whether it be a true story or fictitious story or not, um, it doesn't really matter. But if you get it, awesome. If you don't get it, that's okay too. I have in the past not only surround myself by, but been around people who are constantly vomiting all of their insecurities and like, oh, you're such a this, you're such a that, you think you're this. So suddenly they're a telepath and they know what I'm thinking. You think that this, and you think that you think you're such and such. Like wait, I do, like So I've cleansed most of my life from most those kind of people. You know, but I think I would like to learn to realize that okay, I don't need the validation of anyone else. I can tell the story I'm passionate about because that will affect my choices and stories
Sure.
I want to tell. It'll affect, um, of course, everyone wants to be able to make a living from their craft, and I've been able to do that in the past. But I want to make it. And also, it reflects as to what level of finances that I want to achieve. Like, am I doing it? Do I need to meet a billionaire in order for people to realize how important I am, or how much people understand what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
Or am I cool just like making a teacher salary,
Sure.
but doing whatever writing or whatever filmmaking, that sort of thing. So it all kind
Absolutely.
of affects all of
Well,
that.
um, uh, let's talk about the direction that these talks would go under the format of the coaching, because
Hmm.
currently we're approaching the end of chapter one of
Yeah.
episode. But um, uh, uh, what we do is we'd set the rest of it up. The thing about you're a storyteller, so you're going to have an audience, and the audience, you can count on a large percentage of them doubting you or throwing shade or trying to pick apart your thing and so forth. And we have to live with that. So I know I do, and so forth. Everything I've ever done has had people who loved it and people who said, if you just did this, it would be so much better, and so forth. And the thing is, that how do I survive? How do I survive that? Sometimes it's hundreds of people, on social media or whatever, picking on me, and it feels like it's attacking the thing I'm working on. But the thing that gets me through it, and it's like gliding through an asteroid field, it is that I take my statement, my foundational narrative, my theme, and I say, what, I'm sticking with this. I'm going to, if it's the greatest warrior is the warrior who ends war, that's actually a term to stand up for, and that's a term to make sure is infused into my stories about Halo and into the whole team. The whole team has to agree on this and proceed. And so if there's an attack, um, uh, my job is, but did you get that message?
Right.
You know, I
Right.
don't get this the bric-a-brac, the bricks that are used to build the story. Whatever, go
Right.
ahead, attack it. Sorry, no one's perfect, but did you get that message? You know, and if you're genuine, if you're tapping into the wellspring of love that you have, and you've got it, dude, uh, then you will passionately engage with anyone who's listening, and try to communicate that core message, or see if they can figure it out, see if they can find it in the story that you're telling. It's important, and it actually helps you to tell the story better, because then you don't have to get preoccupied by the concept of the week, or some documentary that you saw on Netflix or what have you, or if you do, you're fusing this foundational narrative into it, and then you could write about anything,
Mhm.
but it does help to clear the decision making. On top of that, it allows you to not worry about validation or not validation. If your statement is powerful enough, and you feel passionately enough for it, you just can level up. Level up. Okay, I've written this novel. Now I'm going to create a podcast. Now I'm going to create an audio drama. Now I'm going to write a TV, a teleplay, a pilot, and Bible. And if it's strong enough, I promise you this, you become less stoppable. You
Mhm.
can become unstoppable. You have something to fight for. You know, and the fight is not for you, it's for all of us, including you,
Mhm.
right? And you can make money, a lot of money. But that it doesn't matter, because that's a side effect of making the message reach more people, right? More people means more money. So that's a side effect of needing to reach a lot of people with an important message. A lot of kids got stuck in cars. A
Right.
lot. They need you to help them.
Mhm.
Does that make sense
Right.
to
Yeah, it
you?
does.
So that's what the rest of the series would be about. How to level up, how to take this and galvanize it, make it more concrete. By in week two, we'd have that statement completely written. We'd agree on it. We could always change it later. This is just story. We're making this up,
Mhm.
right? But we'd hammer it out, and then start thinking about, to exemplify how to build a career on that foundation. It will help to guide you. It will help to push you forward. It really can put rockets on what it is that you've got, and let you fly a lot faster. Um, and hopefully, it'll improve your relationships, and bring joy. The joy comes in having a foundation of a reservoir of unconditional love. Love that you've had to dish out has some conditions. It's born of resignation,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That makes me a little sad, and we need to get out of there.
Right. Yeah.
you know. Uh,
Mhm.
if it's boundless, and it's fueling a passionate message that you have to deliver, so that other kids can get out of the car,
Mhm.
it's so much more powerful and joyous, and it'll light you up. and shift your mind about how things work, and you'll be able to navigate reality and bend it to your will. You
Right.
know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. That's great.
My gosh, Jeff, you have been a fantastic sport because I beat on you for